Computer. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the Ramesh Lounge. This room is intended for open discussion and Q&A with Rob Rocco and the Ramesh team. Feel free to interact, ask questions, and jump in and out of the room. This is like a virtual booth of sorts. So take it away, Rob.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, everyone. My name is Rob Rocco. I've been in the insight space for about 16-ish years, mostly in providing quantitative solutions to consulting firms and agencies and some corporate clients as well. I joined Ramesh a little over a year and a half ago. I'm responsible for our business with consulting firms and agencies, and we have a product that enables researchers of kind of every walk of life to understand a larger audience in their own words at the speed of a conversation. It is a unique concept that leverages AI to help rank, structure, and organize consumer and employee verbatim feedback in a way that moderators and observers and other stakeholders can kind of easily make sense of what resonates to that audience in the moment, and can kind of probe and pivot and take the conversation in different directions based on what they're learning in the moment. There are a number of popular use cases for the Ramesh method. Predominantly, they are in the areas of exploratory research. So a lot of the work we do with our agency clients, with our corporate clients, is in the area of early stage concept ideation, product ideation, development, message testing, comms testing, really any area in your research process where you want to kind of understand and uncover things that you might not know about an audience, right? So, and with the rate of consumer opinion changing faster than ever, this platform enables you to kind of engage consumers in a dialogue on a week in and week out basis to kind of keep up with that rate of change and really understand it qualitatively and at scale. So I have said a lot there, and I will pause for just a moment, and maybe Lacey, if you can be so kind, I would love to take a minute or two just to kind of understand you and kind of what your role is in this particular conference and just in general. So I kind of have some ideas to who you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm actually the product marketing specialist for AYTM. So I deal a lot with our product and marketing it. And so, I mean, really my role has just been Tiffany's helped organize the whole thing. And I just, I'm here to help, basically. I've been with the company for 3 years now. So just jumping in everywhere.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to meet you, and I appreciate you helping us orchestrate this conversation today. You know, it's funny that you mentioned product marketing, right? Because I think that's a lot of what we see. Product marketers and product people, I think, are particularly keen on this method because it enables you to kind of understand how people might react to potential features that you would want to incorporate into the product, right? What are the use cases? What matters? What doesn't matter to them? So we had somebody just about to jump in, and then I think they were like, this doesn't feel right to me. I'm gonna go in another direction. So we will miss you. Please come back. So what else can I say about Ramesh? I do have, actually, you know what I'll do is I'll explain a little bit about the platform itself, since I talked about the concept and where researchers are using it. Maybe I'll take a couple of minutes to kind of explain, give some context around the product itself, and then actually at least show you a little bit about it, like the setup of the conversation, and give you an idea as to kind of like how that works. So couple things that are really important to remesh. One is accessibility, inclusivity. And the way this product has been designed is to make it accessible to as many people as possible. And we've done that by creating a browser-based platform. So accessing a remesh conversation, participating in one, or even moderating one requires simply an internet connection and a screen. And the platform is optimized across all device types. So whether you're participating on your desktop, on a mobile phone, on a tablet, the experience is consistent and clean and simple and intuitive throughout. That's kind of the general gist of it. I also like to say that, and kind of as I mentioned earlier, researchers will have a pre-planned discussion guide like you would with any kind of qualitative conversation, but you'll also have the ability to change your mind and take the conversation in different directions based on what's happening in the moment. If I may share my screen, can you enable participant screen sharing for me, Lacey?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and make you the host so you can share your screen. So you should be able to do it now.
Wonderful. Okay. Coolio. All right. So what I'm displaying here is the setup page for a conversation in the Remesh platform. And once you have an account with us, setting up a conversation is as simple as putting the title in here. So I thought I would talk about research in 2020 if I were to be having a conversation with researchers in 2020 today. The date and time, which reminds me to, I think, mention that what this platform offers is a real-time synchronous conversation between a human moderator and actual participants that takes place at a scheduled date and time, typically about 60 minutes, with between 50 and 300 participants, I see as the overall kind of sweet spot. A platform can sustain up to 1,000 participants in a given conversation, which is like really, truly qualitative at scale. But suffice it to say, unlike a bulletin board where people are kind of coming in and out and answering questions whenever they feel like, this is an event-based method. So I've got the date and time here. I've got the duration. I've got the language. By the way, the platform is optimized. The NLP, and there is NLP in the platform, is optimized across all these different languages. There's about 25 of them now. So we are truly global in scope in terms of where we're able to have these conversations, not only from a platform compatibility, user experience standpoint, but also from a processing, the NLP standpoint, and participant reach. So we do market research around the globe. We leverage a network of recruitment partners that enables us to get the right kind of amount and distribution of participants into a given research conversation. I've got my name here and an avatar that represents me. That is my face. And that's just to help kind of keep it personalized, right? This is a text-based conversation. And from the participant standpoint, it is as if they're having a one-on-one text-based conversation with the moderator. So it does keep it fairly personal and conversational. So I'm going to save that. And then this is the participant link. So if you're, for example, doing your own recruitment, or if you are doing research among your employees, which is very, very common with our platform, this is the participant link that would be shared with them. I can just plop that right over here, and I can show you what that looks like in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the discussion guide. So this is kind of where you would kind of pre-plan your discussion guide, right? So the questions that you want to ask the audience. And that typically starts with onboarding polls. And so these onboarding polls are not your screener. Your screener happens in advance separately where we can recruit the proper proportions of different audiences and cohorts, and assure that they're going to be in the conversation at the right date and time. It's a more rigorous process, but works really, really well with our team. By contrast, these onboarding polls are really a way to, one, understand who's in the audience in the moment, right? Who's in your conversation. And I've got age and gender and region. And, you know, in this case, I was talking about what kind of research that you do. Are you a corporate research agency, researcher, supplier? How many years of experience do you have? Which role most closely represents yours, right? And these onboarding polls all become things that you can segment the audience on during the conversation. So in the segment section here, let me go ahead and publish this. Bloop. In the segment section here, I can grab any combination of these onboarding polls and make them into a segment. So how about young corporate researchers? So we've got, boy, this is going to be fine line here. I'm 39, I'm gonna be 40 in a couple weeks. So let's say that a young researcher is under 40, okay? And apologies to anyone that's watching this, and hey, listen, if you identify as young, regardless of your age, I applaud that and I support you. All right, so I am going to select corporate researcher under age 39. So this would be a segment that we can follow through the conversation. We want to say, like, if we just want to follow males through the conversation, we can look at our males. If we want to look at suppliers, we can have our suppliers in here. And then maybe another segment, how about like VP and above, right? So we've got our beep, boop, done. So these are all segments that we can follow through the conversation. The discussion guide normally is planned in advance. I didn't do that today because we're gonna do it on the fly. So adding kind of questions to your conversation could happen here. It could also happen, you see this download import template. We've got templates in the platform if you don't know where to start, right? So like a concept testing template, an employee engagement template, an ideation template, things like that that you can kind of use to draw on to create your discussion guide, or you can just, if you've got one prepared already, you can import it directly in the platform to avoid that kind of question by question upload. It is all good. So I'll go to the conversation itself. We have nobody in today's conversation, so that's why you're seeing 0 people in the conversation. But what I'll do is I'll go to the participant link, which I opened earlier, and I will complete the onboarding polls, and I will enter our conversation. So let's get started. I am here, as I mentioned, hanging on to my 30s by the skin of my teeth. I am in North America. I am a supplier. I'm in this range. Boom, 10 to 19, and boom. So any participant has to complete those onboarding polls in order to enter the conversation so we know who they are, and that we can understand the full kind of composition of the conversation and audience. All right.
Rob, so quick question. You know, since 2020 has been like a dumpster fire, what challenges have you found that that may be happening on your side with everything?
Oh yeah. It'll probably be easier to mention the challenges that we haven't seen, but I will say this: like the number one thing that we faced is, you know, as I think about the type of customer that me and my team serves in consulting and agency, we're dealing with disappearing budgets. We're dealing with disappearing friends and loved ones on the client side due to downsizing in some situations, right? So losing some contacts of ours will obviously stay in touch. And we're also dealing with, so one, the anytime we're having we have our client have a lower than expected budget, their appetite and willingness to invest in a new platform and product that they've never used before is lessened, right? And so the landscape, our selling landscape is, and kind of product landscape is completely changed. So like one is, we have our work cut out for us to help researchers think about when and how to adopt a method like this and why it makes sense, particularly in the current landscape. Offline focus groups are not a part of our life right now. And so what I think, how we've addressed that challenge is the ability to, hey, listen, your budget is lessened. Your ability to do offline market research is gone. And so this method enables you to do qualitative research at scale at a fraction of the budget and time that a more traditional offline qualitative method provided. And so that's been how we've kind of addressed that challenge. The other thing is, when you think now about, so it's kind of obvious about the offline stuff, but like, okay, the online qual landscape is totally different. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of now qualitative research happening here on Zoom, mm-hmm. right? And other video conferencing tools, right? And so, and that does make a lot of sense, particularly when it's an intimate conversation with a handful of people, right? But if you're looking to understand a larger audience in their own words, in a bi-directional kind of dialogue like we can afford here, there's absolutely a place for remesh in that toolkit. But yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, we talked a lot about, we were often comparing remesh to survey methodologies, to offline qualitative methodologies, to some of the online qual methods that are currently available and products that are currently available. But more and more, we talk about how does this fit within, right? Like actually what we're doing today, right? So like we're having a conversation, let's say I got my wish and like 50 people showed up to this conversation today. We could be having a dialogue like this where I'm talking with one another, but I can also be posing questions in this platform to understand anonymously and synchronously what the group agrees with, right? We can't have 50 people talking at once, and here we won't make sense of anything, right? And so this platform has provided tremendous value for those that want to understand a larger audience in their own words in a way that is measured, right? So like understanding what, okay, immediately 78% of the group agrees with this statement. That's what we're talking about here. And then, being able to kind of fit the personal kind of conversation like we're having here with the way to kind of document and measure and scale, leveraging the algorithms that are built into the remesh platform.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it's an awesome tool to, like what you're saying, what we're having now with a conversation and getting deeper insights into that conversation without, straining 50 people to give their opinion at one time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's awesome.
Let me see if I can upload an image here just to kind of show you. Here we are. Save. All right. So I just added an image to the conversation like that, and I'm going to send it across here. And I'll zoom in on this because this is kind of a critical part of what we do. There are really two main question types in the Remesh platform. One are poll questions, which pretty self-explanatory, but with our polls, those also become filters that you can apply. So if you're doing, say, concept evaluation, you can immediately understand who are your top two box on this concept, and then ask them follow-up open-ended questions, and you'll be able to kind of understand the people who definitely like this product said this, the people who definitely did not like it said this, for example. Those open-ended questions are really where the magic happens. So the moderator will ask a group an open-ended question. The audience, each on their own screen, will answer that question in their own words, uninfluenced by other participants in the group. Once they answer that question and submit it, the participants are served with some voting exercises. And in those voting exercises, they are served actual verbatims from other participants in the group. And they will select in the choice exercise, which you're seeing here, they'll select which one they more closely agree with by clicking on it. And if they can't decide, they can select I can't decide, and they can say that these are similar, which informs the algorithm about similarity, and not to pair those two again. I agree with both, I disagree with both, I'm not sure. Then there's this straight up agree, disagree. One verbatim from another respondent. Do you agree or disagree with this? In the background, what's happening is that based on the voting data, the platform is able to organize those verbatims for the moderator and for any observers, so that when the question voting period is over, which is about 2 minutes, they'll see a real-time ranking and structuring of those verbatims according to the level of agreement. And then with those, you can actually further parse it out by different segments. So I showed you those segments I created earlier about years of experience and region and things like that. You can see how those groups kind of converge and diverge on agreement against that. And so the challenge with doing qual at scale is scale, right? How do you understand what 50 or 100 or several hundred people are trying to say? The platform provides you immediately with what resonates most to this group, some highlights, so like a truncated view of verbatims that really represent the spread of opinion across the group. I'm talking about like 10 to 12 verbatims that roughly compose the spread of opinion or the share of preference across the several hundred people involved. Some common topics, like what are the words that people are using, right? In order of how frequently they're being used. And then with context around what's being said around that topic, how much does a group agree with that? So immediate like frequency as well as context. And then a whole host of other kind of visualizations and dashboards that will help you be more agile in your research process and make more informed decisions quickly and with confidence. I believe we're just about out of time. I have so much that I could say, and I would be so more than happy and willing to have a conversation with anybody if anything they heard me or us talk about in the last 25 minutes or so is something that they would like to learn more about. So thank you, Lacey.
Yeah, of course. How would people reach out to you? Just give them, just so they know.
Yeah, you can reach me directly at rob@remesh.ai.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and give me back the host position, and then I can stop the recording.
You got it.
Awesome.